Hey guys, KingRazzel here, and today I'm going to be reviewing Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutants in Manhattan, a very long title, and this game was released on May the 24th, 2016 for the PlayStation 3, PlayStation 4, Xbox 360, Xbox One, and PC. As with my previous reviews, I'll be judging this game based on its story, gameplay, multiplayer, and value. The story of the game begins with General Krang and Shredder meeting on top of the TCRI building and discussing their plans. Shredder sends out his foot soldiers, and we then see the Turtles along with Splinter and April O'Neil discussing the recent crime wave that's been hitting the city. The Turtles decide to investigate, and after following the Foot Clan, they find Bebop is nearby. From here, the story follows the Turtles as they battle through various stages and bosses in order to get to Shredder. Bosses can be seen just by looking in the stage select menu whenever you load up the game, so I have no problem in telling you that you can see Bebop, Rocksteady, Slash, Karai, Armagon, Wingnut, General Krang, Mega Krang, and Shredder as leaders of their own particular levels. In my opinion, the story of the game is kind of boring. As I stated, there are 9 bosses, and none of them really have any real reason to face the Turtles, other than just to kill time. The only ones who really even have a plan are Krang and Shredder, and even their plans aren't really well explained. There's really nothing much to say about the plot. The voice acting was okay, and it was cool to see the villains, but everything I did just felt trivial in terms of what was going on in the game's world. Now, I realize this is a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles game, so the villains don't really need much motivation other than they are the bad guys and, you have to beat them up. But it's just not a very well told story, in my opinion. At its core, Mutants in Manhattan is a hack-and-slash game, but it seems to want to throw in a few more elements into the mix that it doesn't really need nor use. First, let's start with the simplistics of combat. You have your light attacks, which are used with square, and your heavy attacks, which are used with triangle. I'll be giving you examples for the PlayStation 4 controller, as that's the system that I played the game on, but I'm sure they're pretty much mapped the same on the PS3, Xbox 360, and Xbox One. Then you also have the shuriken, which is mapped to your L1 and R1. Press R1 to toss out a shuriken and L1 to aim it. Now, these are what I consider to be the basics of the combat. On top of the basics, you also have what is known as ninjutsu. Ninjutsu is mapped to your L2 button, which will open up a wheel and allow you to press either triangle, square, circle, or X to perform various abilities you've chosen throughout the game's leveling system, which we'll go into here in a minute. Ninjutsu is where most of the damage will come from when you're in combat. It's the strongest weapon at the Turtles' disposal and works on a cooldown type system. Abilities are interchangeable and you can customize them if you want to. There are a total of 28 different abilities if I counted correctly, and each one functions a little bit differently, such as performing a spin to do damage on enemies or becoming a giant hologram for a few seconds. As for your turtle, you can customize each turtle's abilities independently, and if you're playing in solo, then you could swap between turtles at any time during the mission. You'll begin the mission by selecting a turtle, and once you've started the mission, you can swap out to your heart's content. Now, as for your AI compatriots, you can give them commands in a fight to have them do different things in a different fashion, but I never really did it very much, and I also had one issue with the AI in one of the maps, but other than that, they worked pretty well. The issue that I had was in the Karai map. It's kind of like a construction map where you jump to different buildings. And in one of the buildings, I was climbing to the top, and they stayed at the bottom the entire map, just trying to jump onto a platform that they could never reach. So it was basically, one of the other turtles was with me, but it was me and one other turtle until the boss fight. So the 2 turtles, they just continuously jumped that whole entire map, which was annoying, obviously. But now onto the leveling system. You can take, this game takes leveling in a very annoying direction, in my opinion. You'll get experience based on your performance in a level, with levels unlocking new ninjutsu for you and your characters. Now, the problem with this is that it never does anything to the base stats of your turtles. You will always stay the same strength, and you'll never have a higher base light or heavy attack. Also, your ninjutsu will never get stronger either. The only thing that leveling does is upgrades your abilities' cooldowns, so it takes less time for you to use the abilities in combat, which again I found annoying. The most perplexing thing of all, however, is that your character's health never increases. I mean, it technically does increase, but it only increases within the mission. So you'll start the mission, I believe it's usually 1 or 2 pizzas, and you'll start the mission with 1 or 2 pizzas, and then throughout the mission, you'll gain slices of pizza through, I believe it's through the battle points system or something like that, or maybe it's through combat, but you'll get more and more, and eventually you'll get a new slice of pizza. It's a confusing system, and it's one that I really didn't think was very fun. And once you're done with that mission, you don't get to keep that health that you've earned. So you're always going back to the same 1 or 2 pieces of pizza, or 1 or 2 pizzas, and then, I don't know. It's a weird system. Now, for my thoughts on the actual playing of the game, I can say that it's not a terrible game. It's just not really overly fun. From what I can gather, some missions' objectives are random, and other missions have set goals. Now, I know in the first mission, there's random selection of things like recovering lost money, protecting a pizza truck, or defeating all enemies, but not every mission is like this. Most of the game functions on a beat this type of enemy up, and then you'll move on to the next one, beat him up in the same way, and that's kind of the mentality of the gameplay, which it gets really old pretty fast. The bosses, on the other hand, are much more entertaining. They each have their own unique style for them, and for instance, Armagon likes to use this sludge that turns you sort of into a zombie for a few seconds, and he'll use this sludge, and then he'll deal massive damage while you're incapacitated. And then Wingnut, he likes to stay in the air for a majority of the boss fight, so the shuriken is pretty much the best weapon for him. This game does have a multiplayer component to it, and it is a co-op aspect. Personally, I played this game in co-op with random people online, but if you have 4 friends who have this game and an internet connection, then I think this would be the way to go with this game. As for my experience with the game in co-op, the game doesn't really change when you play it with real people versus AI companions. The only difference is that you can't swap in and out with the turtles. I'd also like to say that this game cannot be played in offline couch co-op. I know this was a big issue for a lot of people before the game even came out, so just be aware of that. For the value of this game, it's kind of difficult to say since the game isn't exceptionally fun for me. If you have 4 die-hard Turtles fans, then you could get quite a bit of gameplay out of this one, since there are things like secret boss fights and, I assume, what are random collectibles. For me personally, playing the game on normal, it took me around 4 to 5 hours to beat, so it's not a very long game, and I can't say that it holds much gameplay value if you're coming strictly for the campaign. Overall, my time with this game was so-so. Some things I liked about the game were the boss fights were entertaining enough, and my favorite turtle is Donatello, so the ending kind of made him seem like the overall hero, which I enjoyed. What I didn't really like about the game were the repetitive fights, the boring story, and the odd leveling system. Now, personally, I wouldn't consider myself to be a huge fan of the Turtles. I watched them quite a bit when I was growing up, and I played the hell out of games like Turtles in Time and TMNT Tournament Fighters on SNES. But I don't consider myself to be an uber fan, so if you are an uber fan, then you may have a different opinion on this game than me. But as for me, I'm going to give this game a 5.5 out of 10. I didn't hate this game, but it didn't really have anything wrong with it per se. But it was just, to me, the essence of an average game. It had an uninteresting story, boring gameplay, and it really left no mark on me whatsoever. Alright guys, so those are my thoughts on Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Mutants in Manhattan. I tried to look at this game as fair and as just as I could, and this is where I land on it. If you guys have played it, then let me know in the comments below what you guys thought. The next review that I plan on doing is for Dead Island Definitive Collection, which is set to release tomorrow on the 31st of May. So if you guys want to check that out, then check back next Monday. And if you guys want to see me playing some multiplayer of this game, then check back on Wednesday, because I'll be playing some multiplayer of that. Or if you want to test your knowledge on this game, then check back on Friday for some game trivia. But anyways, guys, like I said, I hope you all enjoyed this video, and if you did, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I hope to see you all in the next video.